Now, the first thing you do when you look at a job, and what you have to do on the other side of the table, is get a very clear picture of what's being offered. Is it a racehorse or is it a jackass? And I think that's the worst thing you could possibly do to a young faculty, is promise them things and bring them here and not deliver. Because that really breaks trust right away. And trust is part of mentorship. So I've told all the young faculty that I've had to go out into the world, say, you know, you don't necessarily need to get it in writing, because I came from a period of time when the shake of the hand was good, and you trust that individual, but at the same time, you want to make sure that what's promised to you is delivered to you. And it's difficult for you to get the answers in all kinds of places, and particularly for us who work in this very complex environments with so many players that affect the department and the division. And you can see this list of people here right at Northwestern. And one of my views is being a division chief is to run interference, to try to take away some of the things that are non-productive for your junior faculty, which is dealing with these sort of political issues. And so one of the jobs as your faculty grows underneath you is to keep them away from those and insulate them from the sort of the low-level noise that exists in all academic practice. Now, the days of triple threats are probably over, but I think all of us should strive to be triple threats. The triple threats are people who do research, who do clinical activity, and they also do teaching. I think we should all strive to do that. I know I've heard all kinds of academic surgeons who are educators come by and say, you can't do that. Well, yes, you can. If you just put your heart into it, and at least during your procedures, you can do all kinds of different researches and clinical activity to accomplish that. So I don't want to discount that. You may not be good in all fields, but at least try. And then when you look at your junior faculty, you try to balance the needs between their needs and your needs, and sometimes they're crossways. And the one that comes most crossways is between clinical productivity and the life of your junior faculty. And your junior faculty needs the life, which is the most rewarding part of their lives, which is their family, what they do in their spare time. And if you have overcome that with high productivity expectations, that really leads to a problem. And so you have to look at these and try to balance them. But undoubtedly, the income is balanced to your productivity. You can't get away from that. And in my own division, and I think it's, again, trust is based upon being honest with your faculty and show them the books. Transparency is enormously important. You know, you can't have a faculty member come in and say, well, I'm going to give you X amount next year. You know, they have no idea why you give them X amount of money. Well, the fact of the matter is there's no magic to this. We all have a budget. We have to generate a certain amount of revenue. We have to pay taxes. And if you understand the game clearly, that trust is evident, and the fairness becomes evident between you and your faculty. And the last thing is the academic productivity and the lead to promotion. I think that's the one way that we can, as academic physicians, reward our junior faculty, is make sure they're on the right track, get promoted in a timely fashion. And there's different tracks, as you'll probably discuss, but make sure that happens in a very timely fashion. And I don't have, we've gone back and forth. When Dave Narwhal, our chairman, was here, we would have periods where we'd have, you know, mentorship meetings, and I have some now with Dr. Soper, but those formal meetings are okay where you set goals, but I think that's a little bit arbitrary and artificial, because if you see your faculty on a frequent basis, you can reinforce what needs to be done in their lives and academic progress. The needs of your junior faculty are here too, and what you want to do is encourage creativity and lifelong happiness through their work, because when that doesn't exist, they become unhappy and work becomes just a chore. And the second part of it is, the last part is money. And capitalized money on one side is the money you generate in clinical productivity. But if you're doing basic science research, you have to have a source of revenue to do that. And that's non-income. It doesn't necessarily come from your income anymore. All of us in practice, maybe 20 years ago, would take 20% of our clinical productivity and pile it back into research, but that's no longer possible because of the economy. So what we have to do is somehow give your faculty time to either write grants or through philanthropy develop the sources of funding for these outside of clinical practice. And we've been fortunate to have both the funding from grant support to do that, and through philanthropy to support those off hours. I tell my junior faculty also to look at the websites and look at what their salaries should be. So the AAMC and the MGMA tell you what salary should be in this region. And so you have to be paid fairly, and to go to one of these websites and you'll clearly see what they are. So for junior faculty, they know this. I mean, that's no surprise. They go to these websites and they understand how much they should be paid. And all of us in this room should be paid that. Our faculty practice shoots for like 75% of those projected numbers. So again, transparency in your salary is enormously important for that level of trust and loyalty that develop between you. And then you should have supportive partners that will help you get through all of this. And this really has to do more with your surgical practices, and I'm not sure how it will work for your anesthesia practice. In our own practice, if you have block time, it's very easy then for you to plan your life. If you don't have block time as a surgeon, then you're just always pulled in different directions. So if you can count on, say, Wednesday afternoon, I'm going to have some time to do stuff, that works really well. So the more predictable your life is, or you make the life of your mentee, the better it is, because then they can budget their time and accomplish that. And then the other thing is to look at how far you get pulled. You know, in our own institutions, the surgeons can get pulled over to the VA, you can get pulled to any site. But fortunately, we're sort of isolated here at Northwestern, so those pools aren't tremendously large. And then if you're going into the basic science, this is something that you have to be extremely realistic about, because it takes anywhere from 50 to 75% effective time to do basic science. No question. You have to be in that lab and you have to work. So I don't know how many in your own department are going into basic science, but you need a startup package roughly for someone going into basic science is probably anywhere at a minimum of $150,000 per year, up to probably $250,000 to $300,000. It's really expensive work, and it's a commitment that has to be made by the department and the medical school for that to occur. And then the other thing to understand is if you're going to do basic science, you have to have space, and that space has to be with everybody else, because there's the collaboration and networking that occurs in a basic science environment is very, very important. And when you look at jobs, and when the junior faculty come to you, you sort of see where you fit in the portfolio of the institution. You know, this institution has made some very specific initiatives in different areas of where they're going to put their research dollars, whether it's genetics or cardiovascular or cancer. You have to see where the institution is putting their money so you can match your researchers and clinical researchers in what the institution is interested in. Because if you, again, not following what the institution is doing, you probably won't have the support that's needed. Teaching programs, there's plenty of teaching programs in this institution, and I don't have to go further. We're blessed in surgery to have Deb DeRosa, either blessed or cursed, I can't tell which. Don't say that. Don't laugh about it either. There's good and bad, but she has made a very strong effort in developing teaching in our department. But I think teaching is good, but at the same time, the experience that we all provide our residents is maybe the most important. It's the experience at the bedside and what we provide as clinicians to our trainees that supersedes a lot of its training lab. But anyway, that's a personal reflection. The resources, and again, I think I would emphasize the very last part of it. How realistic are you able to deliver to your trainee the resources that are needed? And so, for example, if you came here and you wanted to do research in X molecule, how many other people are here doing work on X molecule? And if I'm going to do research on X molecule, do I have the machinery and the flow cytometers and the other devices that you need to accomplish it? And if they're not there, how am I going to get them there? And if they're not there, I'll never succeed. So it's easy for these young individuals to come in with grandiose ideas, and your job is trying to match them, and you may not possibly be able to do that. And collaborators are really very important. And so what you do is just Google your institution. Just go on the institution. If you have a young individual that's coming here, Google them to see how many are interested in NO or pulmonary hypertension or critical care. I mean, you have to see who's in this environment so that you can collaborate to make the whole better.